So you might be thinking, well, let's start with my name. My name's Tasha. I work in the Beckett careers team. You're probably thinking a little bit about why would it be me that's taking a session about marketing. So what you probably don't know about me is that I'm actually a Leeds Beckett marketing advertising graduate. I only graduated in 2018. So hopefully that gives you a bit more of an insight into why I'm running this session. I'll tell you a little bit about my experiences through uni and after uni. And obviously, if you've got any questions about those or if there's anything I can help you with, then do let me know. So I took a sandwich placement year. I went to work as a marketing and sales assistant at an estate agent's in York. It was a really, really good opportunity. When I first went into the role, I was the only marketing person. So I was essentially my own boss. I reported directly to the managing director of the company. So it was a bit of a thrown in the deep end, but that's kind of the way I like to learn. So yeah, it can sometimes happen. I did get a manager halfway through who I learned a lot from. So definitely don't think that you're not going to pick anything up from a manager. They've got so much knowledge and so much experience that they can share with you. So make the most of those connections. Then through my final year of university, I applied for a role through Indeed. And actually, when I was looking at the company, I actually couldn't find them anywhere. I was thinking, oh gosh, this could be dodgy. But actually, I just went along to the interview. Same day I got the job, and that was to basically be a social media assistant, like within an agency. So the guy who ran the company had two different brands, and I ran the social media for those two brands. And then if they were looking to take on any new brands, I would do all the meetings with the new clients and then take them on as my clients as well. Opportunities like that, they might seem a little bit daunting because you're thinking, I don't know if this company's legit, they're really small. But for me, it worked really well because they were really flexible. So I was able to work up to 25 hours a week. I could work 1 hour or I could work 10 hours, 25 hours, whatever. That was like how much he would be willing to pay me for. And he was happy for me to work there as long as I was creating income for the company and doing my social media role. So that was quite nice because it gave me a bit of flexibility to look into exhibitions for the brands, to do a bit of influencer outreach. And a lot of that was kind of self-taught, just trying things out. So that was a really nice experience. Then I got my grad role. I was really lucky in that it happened quite quickly. So I literally finished university, graduated, and then went into my new role. But the funny thing is, and this is another reason not to discount any connections that you have. So when I lived in York doing my placement year, I actually rented a flat from the company that I then ended up working for in my graduate role. So I knew the concierge staff. I'd spoke to some of the staff on the phone. They knew what I was like as a tenant. And I was a nice tenant. So hopefully that went in my favour. But it gave me a bit of a way in. So when I was sending my cover letter, I was able to say, hi, I lived with you. I know all about your brand. I know how you work. And so it kind of stemmed from there. Then I decided I wanted to work somewhere that was a little bigger, maybe more room for progression and things like that. So I spotted this role at Leeds Beckett, which is actually Employer Engagement Coordinator, which at first glance isn't necessarily a marketing role, but there's lots that comes under it that is marketing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, but just to give you a bit of an insight into, who I am, why I'm running this session, and obviously welcome any questions about anything to do with marketing or securing a marketing role. So a few of you may or may not have heard of our Make It in Marketing programme that we run through the university. It would be really handy if you could pop in the chat box whether you have heard of this programme or not. It was the first year that we ran it this year, so we were not expecting everyone to know it, so don't worry if you feel bad putting no. So Make It in Marketing is designed to take your theory and your soft skills and try and give you a bit of industry insight to make connections with employers, to give you sort of technical skills sessions. So it's open to all courses. So absolutely everyone can join in. You don't have to have done marketing, you don't even have to have done business, whether you're studying sport or history or geography, whatever your course is, there's absolutely a spot for you on Make It in Marketing. It's a really good chance to meet employers, like I mentioned. So We usually do a speed networking to start with, and then it breaks down into sort of skills sessions each week. It's usually 5 weeks. Obviously, with under the circumstances that we find ourselves in at the moment, we did have to cut it short this year, but luckily some of our employers were able to turn their sessions onto online sessions, which was really nice. We were able to continue it that way. And yeah, so you can pick up technical skills from the marketing industry and on digital marketing skills. And also there's future opportunities. It doesn't end at the end of Make It in Marketing. We also then introduced a Make It in Marketing mentor program. I was one of the mentors along with some quite exciting names. So I don't know if any of you heard of Social Chain or you follow Stephen Bartlett on Instagram. It wasn't Stephen himself that did the mentoring, but a guy called Jack, who's a Leeds Beckett alumni, he was one of our mentors. Lots of different mentors from local businesses, and we had a pairing system. So we looked at what you wanted to get out of the marketing, what you wanted to get out of the mentorship, where your skills were, what you were interested in, and we tried to match up as best as possible. And that's something that we're looking at doing again this year. So this is who we had on it last year. This picture here is a picture of the speed networking session that we did. It went down really, really well. So in the speed networking, we did have some other companies who weren't necessarily companies that were doing skills sessions. We kind of opened it up a little bit more. So we had Shoe, who are a social media agency based in Ilkley. They often have different internships, work experience. They're quite good at, they're very good at working with students and trying to get them into those opportunities. They were running a session through the Make It in Marketing program about the power of social media, which was the one session that we did actually manage to get under our belts in person. Then we also had Green Gecko, who are also Leeds based, and they were running a session on SEO. Then we had a Censor, who you might have heard of. If you're a Leeds United fan, you probably see their logo all around the outside of the pitch because they do all their marketing. And they were doing a session about paid media, paid social, and blogger outreach. So, that's just an example of some of the topics that we cover in Make It in Marketing. You don't even need to know what it is. That's the purpose of these sessions. It's to take you from non-marketing into marketing and being able to sit in an interview and say, yes, I know what that is. Yes, I know what that is. I know a bit about that. I've had a little play around with that, because that can set you in really good standing. You'll also spot some other names on there. So Digital Minds, they're a marketing recruitment agency. Wish Digital are another local agency. The Grad Sock, if you're on LinkedIn, you probably know who the Grad Sock are. We've done some stuff with them in the past. And also Jensen and Jensen, who are twins. They have a marketing consultancy, and Bradley, who is one of the twins, went to Leeds Beckett on my course. So it's quite interesting going full circle and seeing my peers from university and working with them in that way. So we're changing a few things this year. So last year, the way it worked was you had to submit an application. We got nearly 100 applications last year, and we had to narrow it down to about 25, which was really difficult because we're trying to get a mix of those who are doing marketing and want to take it to the next level, and also those who are curious and just want to find out a bit more about it. And that's what we try to do with the program. We try and have a real mix, so you can pick stuff up from your peers as well throughout the program. However, this year we've decided, with it being online, we are looking that the program will still be online at the beginning of next year, that we're just going to open it up. So if you're interested, you can come along to the sessions online. All you have to do is register your interest to say, yeah, that sounds like something I'd be interested in. You'll get your own communications about it. And we'll obviously stay in touch with any resources and things like that in the meantime. I will put a link. It's right at the end of my presentation where you're able to register your interest there. It's literally just a couple of quick questions. You tick a box to say you're interested. So we'll obviously have some new employers on board. We're in planning phases at the moment, so we don't have those confirmed just yet, but we try to focus locally where possible. We may look a little bit further afield this year, knowing that some of you guys are at home, which might not be in Yorkshire directly. So we'll have a little look at that, and we will confirm once we know a little bit more. Now, the mentoring, last year it was you had to apply for the mentoring after the program. And so actually we ended up with some different people on the mentoring that weren't on the program itself, which was a really nice mix. But this year, what we wanted to do was to make it so that if you attend X amount of sessions, you are then allowed to apply for the mentoring, just to try and create, obviously, before you would turn up in a classroom after uni hours, so there's a little bit of commitment there. This is just a slightly different online way of trying to get a little bit of commitment from you guys to see the whole program through. And we are looking at doing some live briefs and activities, so taking away the skills that you've learned in the sessions and actually setting tasks and things like that. I don't want to say homework because that makes it sound boring, but this is all, if you can work on any activities or briefs or pretend marketing campaigns, anything like that, that's all stuff you can take into interview. You don't necessarily have to have done it in a professional setting. So the more experience, the better. And like I mentioned, all sessions are open to all. With the mentoring, I'm not saying you absolutely have to attend every single session. We will lay it out once we've had it confirmed how many sessions you will need to have attended. But the mentoring is a huge tool. And we've seen students gain a lot from the program itself and the mentoring. So I wanted to take you through just a few quotes of students who had been on the program and what their feedback was. So I was fortunate enough to be able to secure a mentorship offer from one of the companies involved. Having the support from an industry expert was what enabled me to secure my first paid marketing role upon graduation. I can't recommend the programme highly enough. It's an invaluable way for students to bolster their credentials while still in education. And that's from one of our mentees, Andrew, who has actually done our other program, Digital Leap, which I'm going to talk a little bit about afterwards, and also Make It in Marketing. Now, because of this current situation, he'd secured a role at Sky Bet on their tech academy, but under COVID situation, that had got pushed back till January. So he then had, let's say, 6 or 7 months to think, right, what can I do? And having been on the Make It in Marketing program and learnt those skills, he was able to secure a place on the AI Tech North event as marketing and communications. And now he's also in a events marketing role in the meantime. So it's just kind of set him up to kind of fill that gap between what he's doing now and what he's going to be doing in January. Then we have Lois. So Lois actually studies graphic design, and she kind of came into the program. I won't read all these quotes out to you, but she basically came into the program not really knowing whether marketing could be done from her degree, and she actually learned a lot about how having graphic design skills is amazing for a marketing role. But that's not to say you have to definitely be creative and arty. You definitely don't. But if you wanted to go into the creative side of marketing, it's a really good skill to have if you can use Illustrator, Photoshop, things like that. And so she connected with a lot of employers through there. She's really active on LinkedIn and has been in touch with all of those employers since. And she was able to secure a marketing internship at Bright Network over the summer whilst she's searching for a grad role. Then Mac. So Mac is, after having completed Make It in Marketing, he is now the treasurer for the Marketing Society at Leeds Beckett. So it's just a really good way into those different kind of areas and to just broaden your knowledge, because you might think, okay, I know I want to do marketing, but I don't know which bits I'm interested in. I don't even know what SEO is. I've never heard of PPC, and that's fine. That's what this program's for. So you might be thinking, but I don't have any of these skills. I don't know if I can do Make It in Marketing. I don't know if I want to do Make It in Marketing. That's fine. But I wanted to kind of highlight the skills that you almost definitely will have to work in marketing already, no matter what course you're on. So this is a section taken from a marketing role that is on my hub right now. So with a company called Solution Path, they're looking for somebody to start in January, so it's more suitable for a recent graduate who's graduated this year, or someone who's finishing their course in January, because we have different start dates. And they're looking for a positive outlook, enjoy working as part of a team to deliver results, excellent communication, interpersonal skills, motivated and ambitious, willing to suggest new ideas and try new things, a passion for marketing, tech and student success, able to work to deadlines, tech savvy, able to commute to Leeds, a degree in a marketing related discipline, and related work experience. So that would put you at an advantage, but it's not essential. And I know they've mentioned here about a degree in a marketing related subject. However, if you tick all the other boxes, you've attended Make It in Marketing, you've maybe taken a free course online to learn about SEO or Google Analytics, or you are a dab hand at Illustrator, all of those things are going to go in your favour. I would never not apply for a role that you really want where you tick all the other boxes apart from having the marketing degree that they require. And a lot of what my role is as employer engagement is helping to educate employers on how to write a description that's going to appeal to students, because I don't know if any of you are looking for grad roles and stuff at the minute, but you might find you're coming across a lot of barriers that are saying 1 to 2 years experience, you need this experience, you need that experience. And so part of what we do is to kind of say, look, they're not going to have that experience. It's probably quite unrealistic. You might have done a sandwich year, you might have done internships, or you might have been working part-time somewhere through uni, but it's not always the case. So we just try and I wouldn't, if you feel like you've got everything else, definitely still apply. I know when I applied for my role as a graduate, I didn't know how to use Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, which they were asking for on the thing. And I just sat there and said, no, I haven't got experience in it. I've had to play around on it since I saw the job description. So I can work my way around it, but I wouldn't say that I know how to use it. And they were absolutely fine with that. Then, you're not going to go into a graduate role and they're going to stop right there and say, we're not going to teach you anything. They know if they're hiring a graduate, they're going to have to train you. So don't worry, you don't have to know everything. So thinking about you as an individual and what skills you have, I just wanted to link some skills that you'll have picked up through uni, maybe through part-time work, that fit really well in the marketing field. So if you're very numbersy, you're very analytical, you would be probably quite suited to a role in SEO. You're probably going to pick it up quickly. It is that more data driven. I think we talked a little bit on the session yesterday with Olivia from Girls in Marketing. I don't know if any of you were on that session, about how everyone thinks that marketing is, you have to be super creative, but there's so many different elements. So if you're analytical, you could go into SEO. If you're a real people person, working client side in an agency would be great for you. So you're pitching the ideas, you're negotiating with them, you're helping them to decide what's the best option for them. You might have to liaise with different suppliers, and you might have to negotiate a price down. Something that I found in my grad role was that I was literally, I was working with builders, I was working with print companies, I was working with design companies. So, you liaise with so many different people. So if you're a good people person, then there's definitely roles out there for you. If you're creative, there's design roles, copywriting roles, social media roles. You're not going to read a social media post that's super boring, are you? So if you've got that creative flair, then that could be a route for you. You need to have good written skills, I'd say, for pretty much, unless you're going purely into even for a design role, you need to be able to write well, because you need to be able to write engaging content, and it needs to be accurate. So that, I'd say, is probably the underlying skill that you need to have to work anywhere in marketing. You're going to be emailing people, you're going to be writing content, you're going to be writing social media posts, you're going to be writing text for on a poster, a billboard, anything like that. You're going to need to be able to write well. So just brush up on that. Take your time when you're applying, because your first impression is your cover letter and your CV, and if you've not written those well, then they're going to think, I'm not sure if this is going to be right. Teamwork, you most likely will be working amongst a team on campaigns. If you're a confident person, you're good at presenting, there is going to be roles where you'll need to be presenting your ideas. They might say, right, okay, we've got this event coming up, what's your campaign plan? Something like that. And you're going to have to present that back to your team. So, if you're confident, then that's a plus. Being ambitious, coming up with new ideas, that's always a plus. Punctual, you will probably have meetings. My placement year manager actually told me that to work in marketing you need to be early. That's not my not my best skill. I'll be absolutely truthful. But yeah, just being on time. It's first impressions. That goes for any role. And being organised. You are going to have deadlines, especially if you work in an agency. There's a lot of deadlines to meet. It's very fast paced, so you need to be able to work to deadlines. Whether that is you absolutely panicking in the last couple of days that you have, whether that's you working solidly, whatever your style is, that's fine. I know I'm a bit of a crammer, but as long as you can meet those deadlines, that's fine. And commercial awareness. In your interview, you're probably going to get asked something about the marketing industry, something about the current market of the industry that your company's in. So just make sure you know what's going on. Get interested in the easiest one at this time of the year is Christmas adverts. Know what people are doing, know what the messaging is, and just kind of be interested in marketing. That's going to send you a long way. Just have a look at campaigns when you look at walking around the city or the town, wherever you live, like looking at billboards and thinking, oh, that's rubbish, or that's good because X, Y, and Z. If you're able to just get into that mindset where you find marketing interesting, it's going to make your job a lot easier. So hopefully that makes you feel a little bit better, and like as though you may be able to apply for roles that you maybe didn't think you could before. The thing I would say is if you're looking at job descriptions and something that's coming up every time and you're thinking, oh gosh, this is coming every time and it's just, I don't know it, I'll put my hands up, I don't know it. That's the gap where you learn. Find a free course, watch some YouTube videos, read some articles, and get to know it. You don't need to know it inside out, upside down, but as long as you can sit in an interview and say, yes, I heard about that, or I know about that, I've got a rough idea, then, there's no reason why they wouldn't consider you, because, you've shown that you're keen to learn, you're willing to kind of take stuff in, and, you want to find out more about it and you're curious. So that goes a long way, but just don't lie. Don't tell them that you know when you don't, because it will trip you up. So other things that you can be doing at uni, which at face value you might think, I'm not really sure how that's going to help me in marketing. So we, as well as Make It in Marketing, we run a few other programs. So Digital Leap is one of them. It's all about careers in tech. However, if you have technical awareness, or if you do Code First Girls, for example, both of these programs you will learn a bit of coding. If you complete the first course of Code First Girls, you will know how to build a website with code. So that's always a good skill. You might not have the design experience, but you can build a website, so it kind of compensates. So anything that you can do to kind of mix it up a bit and broaden your skills is amazing. Obviously all of these are free, they're run through the university, so absolutely, why not just get stuck in. Step into sales. Again, you might think, not really sure whether that's relevant. Like I said previously, you're going to be dealing with lots of different people in some roles, not every role. But if you're able to negotiate and communicate effectively and persuade, that's all going to go in your favour. Whether that's with external partners or whether it's even with your manager or your team. If you're able to get your team on board with an idea, that's gonna help you a lot. Women in Leadership program. This is just great for whatever course you're thinking of, whatever path you're thinking of taking. It's a great way to connect with some really influential women across the country, mostly in the north. There's a mentoring opportunity there as well. They'll cover things like confidence, resilience, and just how to be a leader, how to be an effective leader. Because, if you want to progress into marketing, I'll touch more on the roles afterwards. But essentially the progression routes do often head towards management or team leader or senior or whatever. Your responsibility will go up. So if you're able to lead effectively, that's going to help you. The Marketing Society, get involved at uni. Like I mentioned earlier, Mac's the treasurer at the Marketing Society. Just see what they've got on, see what's going on, see if there's any positions to get involved. And sometimes the university has ambassador programs. We haven't had a marketing ambassador program for sort of 2 or 3 years now, but I wouldn't say it's something that they are ruling out. So do keep your eye out for things like that, because that can be something extra to put on your CV. And all of these things are things you can do. Oh, Lydia, I will come to that at the end, if that's okay. So all of these things are ways to build your CV without having to, go out and do part-time jobs or work experience. I'm absolutely not saying don't go and do that. Do if you can, but I know it's not feasible for everyone, so don't worry. Another thing to touch on is about creating your own opportunity. Again, this is another way to build experience without having to be restricted by a part-time job. I know it's tricky at uni. You're going home maybe for Christmas, you're going home for summer. It can be quite hard to kind of hold it down sometimes. So these are a few ways that some of the students that I've worked with are building their CV. So to the left, you've got Just a Sports Fan blog. This is, I don't know if Carla's actually on today. She might be. So Carla's a sports marketing student. She was on the mentorship program with me. She's built a blog with socials to support it. She's really interested in Leeds United, F1, basically anything to do with sports. So she decided to make this into creative output that was going to help her in a career in marketing. She just writes about what she loves and puts it in a blog. So, obviously don't just bash anything out, but write it well. But if you're interested in it, it shouldn't feel like such a chore. Damilola, in the middle there, she has a Pinterest. She does some content creation on Pinterest, House of Damilola. She did our Make It in Marketing mentorship program and then secured an internship at a censor as a result of that. So that's quite a good example of, you don't take it as it ends at the end of Make It in Marketing. It really doesn't. There's definitely chances with the businesses. That's why we pick local, because you could go and work for them tomorrow if you're based at uni. Then to the right, this is actually a grad. He was on our session yesterday. I don't know if any of you joined the graduate panel session. This is his design portfolio. It's hosted on a platform called Dribble with 3 Bs. And so aside from his role working at a marketing agency, he also does design work just freelance or for himself. And don't feel stupid doing things that aren't real. If you want to create a design for no one, it doesn't have to be for a client, doesn't have to be for anyone. If it's what you're interested in, just show your skills. Whether it's an Instagram account that you're interested in, and if you can show that you've built the following, the engagement, that's always going to go in your favor. YouTube, whatever it is, if you can just show what you're interested in, that you can use these platforms, and it just adds a bit extra, it bulks up your CV basically. But always keep a note of your whatever platform you're choosing to do this on. Keep a note, because it's so easy to forget how many followers you had to start with, or what your engagement was when you first took over the account or started the account. In a CV, you probably want to put numbers. So if you increase the following by 20%, make sure you've got that noted down. And we've talked a little bit about this in a couple of sessions about a live CV. Have somewhere that you note all these things down, whether it's good feedback, good results, you've reached a benchmark in your followers, whatever that is. Just create a CV that's just for yourself, to keep track of exactly what you've done, because it's easy to look back. No, it's not easy. It's really hard to look back and think, what did I do? So yeah, and the other thing they talked a little bit about on the grad panel yesterday, if you want experience and you can't see it, you're looking on Indeed and you're thinking there isn't anything here, ring around, especially agencies. Agencies are very open to giving you a week work experience, or shadowing someone. There's always opportunities to do stuff like that. Obviously things are a little bit different at the minute with them being remote, but there might still be opportunities out there. There are absolutely tons of agencies across Leeds. Just give them a call, explain you're studying, you're really interested in a career in marketing, and you just wondered whether you could work with someone for a week or so, and just go from there. So These are some of the good places where you can build your knowledge. So if you've got the fundamentals that we talked about earlier, but you want to build a bit more technical knowledge, these are my favorite places. They're not absolutely not the the final list, but Later is a really good blog. You can sign up to their blog and they send it to your email. It's really good for keeping up to date with like the algorithms on social media, new trends that are coming through in marketing. The Drum is more sort of like for commercial awareness, so you know what's going on in the industry. Google Digital Garage, you can complete their AdWords course, and it's actually an accredited course, so you can whack that on your CV. There's absolutely tons of courses on there. There's only some that are accredited, but there's absolutely no reason to say that you shouldn't take the ones that aren't accredited, because it's it's just going to keep building on your knowledge. LinkedIn Learning, I believe you can get 30 days free trial, but I don't think it's that expensive to sign up full time anyway, but definitely worth a look on there. There's tons of courses, whether it's about professional development, marketing, digital marketing, PR, loads of courses on there. And I think they're all like reviewed and rated, so you can see whether they're worth it before you sit through hours of someone talking. YouTube, great way. You can find anything on YouTube. I truly believe you could find everything that you ever needed on YouTube. Girls in Marketing, obviously Olivia ran a session for us yesterday morning. They got loads of free resources on their website. I'll just pop their website here in the chat. They have loads of free resources. They do have some paid ones, and from experience, I've actually bought one and they're brilliant. They're not expensive, and they have actually got a 40% off Black Friday deal on their courses at the minute. So definitely worth checking out. I think their paid courses are on growing Instagram and doing marketing freelance. So Olivia is graduated in 2019, so she's a great person to learn from. She's been in your shoes and she's built an absolutely massive community on Instagram of nearly 40,000 followers, all girls in marketing. So, and obviously if you're a boy, you can still do these courses. No one's going to check. It's fine. It's just the brand name. TikTok obviously has kind of shot to oblivion this year, but I actually use it a lot for to learn things. There's loads of short tutorials, especially around design stuff. I find Photoshop, Illustrator, that kind of thing, but there's loads of educational stuff on there. People think it's just for like dance routines and silly dog videos or whatever, which it is great for, but there is, if you type in the hashtag learn with TikTok, or if you just search various search terms like digital marketing, there'll be loads of stuff on there, and obviously they're so bite-sized, they're like less than a minute, so if you just wanted to like learn one thing a day, maybe that could be a target for you. Just watch one TikTok a day to do with digital marketing, and then by the end of it you'll be a genius. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about, I won't spend too long on this, about the different roles that are out there. I remember, I don't know if any of you have Neil Kelly as your tutor or course director. I remember going to Neil Kelly in my final year of uni and going, okay, I've got a degree in marketing, but I don't know what jobs are out there. I literally have no idea what role I could go into. What am I qualified for? I don't know. And so yeah, I wanted to kind of share this knowledge with you so that you don't end up in the same boat that I was. So there's two main routes. You can go into agency. Agency is very fast paced. They've got quite a fun culture in a lot of places. You will be working on new projects and new brands all the time. You'll be working with a lot of different clients, and you won't always necessarily be working with clients. There's lots of different roles within the agency, so don't always think, I don't want to be having like meetings with different companies all the time. But you might have a company in your head that you want to work for doing their marketing, but I'm going to tell you now that they probably use an agency and you probably won't be able to work for them in marketing. Some companies do some stuff in-house, but generally they outsource it. So you will find if you go through an agency, you might not recognize the name. For example, Ponderosa, Ross, who was on the grad panel yesterday, he works for Ponderosa and he looked after some really big clients like Sony. Yeah, just have a little check out. You can see on LinkedIn, actually, if you're interested in a really specific company, if you have a little look on LinkedIn, you'll be able to click people Once you typed in the company, you'll be able to click people on the side, and you can scroll through and see what roles there are currently at that company, as in what roles are people currently doing there. So it's not necessarily that there's a job vacancy available, but you can see whether, if no one's doing marketing, it's probably because they're outsourcing it. So that's one route. You can work in-house, which is what I did. It's quite a nice one because you do really get to know the brand. So if you want somewhere where you're fully invested in the brand, you're going to know all the different departments, you're going to know what Susan in HR is doing, you're going to know what Sarah in sales is doing, you're going to know what's going on. And sometimes that can help with your content because you know it so well, upside down, inside out, but you will wear a lot of hats. It's very common that you will be doing a lot of different things working in-house. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. For example, I was doing anything from social media to email marketing. Then one day I might be out on a site visit because the company built student accommodation. So I'd be out on a site visit in a hard hat and high vis, getting together to dress the flat for photography, which we also did the photography. So it can be really mixed. You might be planning an event one day. So, if you're not really sure where you want to start out, it can be quite a nice option. Then the hidden roles, which aren't technically hidden, but I'd say it's similar to the role that I'm in now. So my role is employer engagement. I've put some names to look out for at the bottom. Basically, anything that's got engagement, communications, messaging. There's loads of different keywords out there that kind of signify that your job's probably going to have something to do with marketing in it. So at face value, mine doesn't. But once you read the job description, you were like, oh, actually, so, we do email marketing. I do some design work. I'm working with employers quite a lot. I market to students. So don't, you might search for marketing executive, marketing assistant, coordinator, junior account executive. These are some of the common titles. But the list definitely doesn't end there. There's a lot wider field to play with. Just delve in a little bit more. Don't just take it at the title of the job. Have a look in the description and see what's there. Now, marketing roles don't tend. Oh, sorry, I just want to touch on social media manager. You might see social media manager in places and you think, I definitely am not a manager. I don't have that much experience. Sometimes social media manager means you will be managing the social media. You will not be managing people. So do just check the job descriptions to make sure you're applying for the right thing. So marketing doesn't always come up as like a grad scheme. So if you're getting a bit panicked at this time of the year, if you may be in your final year or you're looking at a placement, they don't always come through this early. Generally, I'd say 2 to 3 months before, anywhere between 1 month to 3 months before they need to fill a position is when they'll advertise. So you might find that you're looking a lot later than some of your class, some of your friends that are on other courses, or looking to go into different roles. Don't panic if you can't see anything now. There are marketing grad schemes out there. A lot of any kind of general business grad schemes will touch on marketing. You might do a rotation in the marketing department. That can be quite a nice way. If you're not 100% sure if marketing's for you, you might do 3 months in sales, 3 months in marketing, 3 months in operations, 3 months in HR, and that can be quite a good way to kind of play the field and see what you might be interested in. So the roles that we're seeing coming through in my hub now are for January starts, a lot of them, because they just don't always have that necessary role that they need a year in advance, which I'm sure you can understand. I've popped some places where I find most useful to look for marketing roles. You might have heard of some of them, you might not have heard of some of them. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I don't know how many sessions you may have to sit in with us telling you that you need one. You really, 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 really do need one. It is the best place to network, the best place to find opportunities, the best place to find out about companies. You can look on a website before an interview or fill in a CV and you'll learn some things. But if you follow the company on LinkedIn, you know exactly what they've been up to. You can see articles that they've been involved in. You can get a feel for what they're like, what their culture's like. If you don't know how to search on LinkedIn, and you don't really know how to get the most out of LinkedIn, we have got a LinkedIn session on the 3rd, LinkedIn for Beginners, 3rd of December, so Thursday next week. And that'll take you through everything you need to know to get started, literally from the point of setting up a profile. If you are more advanced, we do have intermediate LinkedIn sessions, but we're kind of obviously coming towards the end of this term, so we have finished our last intermediate one before you guys go home and things. I know things are a little bit different this year, but yeah, we will be picking them up again in the new year, so keep an eye out if you are kind of at that more intermediate level, or there's loads of tools out there to teach how to use it more effectively. You can all connect with me. My name's Tasha Plum like a plumber without the ER. I'd be happy to answer questions and things like that on there. And if you want some tips on what to do on LinkedIn, I'm maybe not the absolute best person, but it's a start. And if you want your first connection, I'm happy to be it. So the last thing I wanted to touch on today was what might an interview look like for a marketing role. This, like I say, is definitely not the be all and end all. It definitely isn't the only thing that could come up in an interview, but I just wanted to give you some ideas of things that I have experienced myself, and have heard other friends who did similar courses have faced in their interviews. So the first stage is usually your standard interview, talking about your CV, talking about you as a person, your capabilities. They might touch on some of the things you mentioned in your CV. Oh, you said you've increased the social media following by 20%. Tell us a little bit about that. They might just be looking at competencies that they've got on their job description. So they might be looking for someone that's organised. Name a time you're organised, or name a time that you worked well in a team. So have all the usual answers ready and make sure you know your CV. That's my tip for the first stage. This might all happen on the same day. It might happen on different days. But the next interview or the next part will be more marketing focused. So the most common one, they may send you away to do this. They might say, here's a task, we'll invite you in a week's time if you could present this back to us. Or they might ask you on the spot, you've got 40 minutes in this classroom or this meeting room, here's a task. Or they might just spring it on you. You never know. So often you'll get asked to create a campaign or a comms plan. It sounds a bit daunting. They're not expecting it to be the most amazing, thorough thing ever, because you probably only have half an hour, 40 minutes if you're doing it on the day of the interview, or they might send you home and they obviously know that you're still studying at uni. So don't worry too much, but some key things to include if you are doing that. Think about who the audience is. Who are they trying to target? Usually it'll say create a, this is just an example. We used to launch a new student accommodation blocks. So they might say, we're launching a new accommodation block in Sheffield next year. Come up with a comms plan to ensure a successful launch. That might be an example. Obviously, it differs company to company, situation to situation. But you'd look at the audience. Who are they trying to target? So in that instance, they were trying to target students and graduates. They did do professionals as well, so you might mention those. That shows that you know about the company, you know who they're targeting, who their market is, and that you understand what they're trying to do. Then set some goals. So here's what we're trying to achieve by the time that we launch this property. So they're not going to expect you to know genuinely, say, they were trying to increase sign-ups by 10%, or they were trying to increase, trying to bring the dates that tenants moved in earlier, or that all flats were gone by X date. You can make this up. It just shows that you're thinking about it. So, everyone hates the term SMART goals, but do put some SMART goals in there. How long is it going to take? What are you how is it going to be measured? How do you know when you've achieved it? That kind of thing. And a little bit of a SWOT analysis. So, what's going on in the industry, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. What's going on in the student accommodation market in Sheffield? Obviously, if you're on the spot on the day, you could either make this up, or you could just come up with some presumptions. If you have time to do any research, you could have a little look at what new buildings were going up in that area, what was happening to students at the minute, what's going on in the student accommodation world. You can have a little look at all those things. It depends what the circumstance of the interview is. And then the main bit that I'd spend your time on is looking at what channels you'd use. So would you use social media? Would you use print media? So would you use billboards, flyers, like direct mail? Would you use email campaigns? And so you want to lay out all the different channels that you have, and then you would want to lay out the timing. So I'd do this at this point, and you need to know why, because you're going to have to present it back to them. So why are you sending an email campaign a month before the launch? Why are you doing social media throughout the whole launch period? And you can make up this period as well. Sometimes they'll say, you know, a 3-month plan. Sometimes they'll leave it open. So it's your call as to how early you think that they might want to start the campaign. So that would be kind of all my top tips for that. You are, like I say, you're going to have to present it back. If you have time and they've sent you away for a week or a couple of weeks to work on it, it might be nice to make some print out some like handouts, or if you're doing it online, have some slides, some visuals, just to kind of add to what you're saying. The other thing that you might get in a interview, which is a bit quicker but is under pressure, is testing your copywriting skills. So you might get given a piece of text. It might be an article or something along those lines, and they might ask you to convert that into a tweet, or they might ask you to convert it into a Facebook post, an Instagram post, a blog title. And so that's showing your skill. Well, that you know how many characters are in a tweet, what your allowance is on each of these platforms, how to use those platforms. So for example, Twitter is obviously more of just a headline news flash, whereas Facebook is more of a storytelling. Instagram's more visual, so you want to put more emphasis on the content of the actual image. Obviously, they're not going to ask you to draw a picture or anything like that. But just showing that you know how to use those different platforms and that you can quickly adapt content. And that it's done accurately. That's another thing. They'll be looking for accuracy. So they'll be looking for, you know, the platforms, how accurate you are and how creative you are. How quickly can you pull out the key points of, you know, you'll do this at uni when you're given a textbook. No one sits and reads a textbook from A to Z. You literally look at the page and you'll pick out the key points, and that's what they want you to do. What's the key message that you want to get across? So if you've only got 140 characters on Twitter, what's the most important thing that you need to say? And then you would obviously put like a link to the full article. If anyone wants to give that a go, I am more than happy to set up like a little activity. I'll pop my email in here, and if anyone wants to have a go, like under time pressure, I can set you a little task and you can have a little practice, and I can give you any feedback if you'd like. So do just let me know by email if you'd like to do that. So we have reached pretty much the end. I know we've got through loads there, so sorry if you feel a bit like but this is the expression of interest form. This it's through MyHub, so you just need your MyHub login. Through this, you'll be able to select which programs you're interested in. It links you through to all of them. So whether it's Make It in Marketing, Digital Leap, Code First Girls, Women in Leadership, Step into Sales, just tick which ones you're interested in. I'm just gonna click through just to check there's nothing else that I need to tell you about on here. Yeah, so you just need your name, full name, student number, which you're interested in. At this stage, we're just gauging interest, and we can obviously keep in touch with you as a priority as to dates, confirmed employers, sessions that we're going to be running, things like that, and any other useful content. So yeah, please do fill that in if you are interested. It's not a commitment, so you know, if you just want to kind of keep it on your radar, still fill that in. I'll copy and paste it into the chat as well, just so you've got it. Oh, yeah, I'll do that for you now, Laura. You don't have to, like I say, you don't have to commit to it. This is just saying, I'm pretty interested in that. Sounds interesting. Expression of interest 2021. That should work. Again, if you need any of these links to go back, just drop me an email or message me on LinkedIn. That's absolutely fine. So yeah, that is it. I have got a little bit of a feedback form here as well. I will put that in the chat as well, just to hear how useful you found the session and things like that. But I just wondered, did anyone have any questions whilst I was on? I'm just aware of the time, so I don't want to go on too long and take up much more of your day. But if you've got anything you want to ask me while we're here, do feel free. Just while I type this up. I'll just pop you off mute in just a second once I've typed this up. I thought I'd be able to copy it across, but it hasn't worked. So I'm just having to type it. Great. Would you like to ask a question? I'm just trying to unmute you now. Oh, it doesn't seem that I'm able to unmute you. So if you can unmute yourself, feel free to ask away.
Are you referring to me?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, that's fine.